Hi, today I'm going to do a rear main seal on the 7.3. People's been asking me some questions about it, so I'll just show you the way we go about doing it. One of the first things we do is disconnect the batteries, make sure that we don't have any problems with the starter or anything else. So we're going to disconnect the batteries, then raise it up. Disconnect the batteries, remove the transmission dipstick, spray all the exposed bolts, and then we remove the skid plate, cross member, drive shaft, support that, which I'll show here in a second. But let's just go ahead and spray the top of the bolts, all the ones here in the cross member. Remove the bolts that hold the inspection shield in here so you can get access to the torque converter nuts. Remove the skid plate here. And I'm going to use this new Milwaukee, this brushless series that they have. This is a 3/8 one. I don't know if you've seen the 1/2 inch one or not. They're actually stronger than your Ingersoll Rand 1/2 inch drive ones. This 3/8 one, it's pretty impressive too. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these bolts and show you how well it works. So we'll go ahead and take these off. And I know these bolts are easy, but as we get to the cross member, we can watch how well it does. Okay, here we have the 18 deep on these. These have not been touched yet. I'll come over there, Fernando. Pretty much as everything goes cordless, you can see these are definitely one that you want to get, these Milwaukees. Okay, the drive shaft, you can do it from whichever end you want, either here at the transfer case or up front. It's up to you. But when I do them back here, I'll just do something to hold the shaft. Grab my 12mm 12 point, get the bolts out of it. Remove all 4 bolts on here. Remove the torque converter nuts. It helps if you back it up there against the block and use it for leverage. Make sure you have a good socket. Disconnect your shift cable here and your trans range sensor. Here you don't, they just pop off. So if you just, don't pry against your trans range sensor, I'm actually prying against the shaft and just pop it off. So now with that out, and up here, some of them might have a safety in there that you have to release, but otherwise you just need to squeeze the 2 sides right here. Squeeze it and remove it. And the vehicle was already in neutral and blocked, so we don't have any issues. But to take it, move it out. So now we have that out of the way. We disconnect the trans range sensor. We got the torque converter nuts off. About ready to set the jack in. Usually you have 2 types here. If you have the automatic locking hubs, usually you have the shift motor with them. They come as a pair. So if you have the shift motor, the electronic motor to apply it in 4-wheel drive, you want to unplug it here. Disconnect it, both sensors here. The one, the indicator, and also the shift motor. If you have the manual one, what we do, I can't show you because it's not here, but we just undo the lever from down here. There'll be 2 10mm head bolts that go on the side to hold the lever on, and we just undo it right there. But this one being the electric one, we're going to unplug both of them, the shift motor and the sensor. Okay, here, before we take this wire loom down or take it off, it's clipped on at the cross member here. So we're going to disconnect it, lift them up. As you can see here, we have the pull jack holding the back of the transfer case up. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the cross member and bring the trans jack in and undo the lines, the cooler lines. Now a couple things I want to cover. You have your main cross member here. This right here is like a support bracket from the top of the frame or the side of the frame down. One, we're just going to loosen this up, but because I normally don't ever show things going back together, when you go to reinstall this cross member, what you want to do, you want to tighten it up here, over here on the driver's side first. And the reason being is it'll suck it and pull it up against the frame. So we'll do that. These bolts will be through here, so it's in the right spot. And then we'll draw these bolts down and then this down. We bring them all down evenly. The reason why I say that is if you tighten these up first and then you tighten the driver's side up, it causes the frame to spread and give you a vibration. And you want everything to seat naturally. So again, tighten this side up first, and then just snug these up, same way, snug these up, then once they're all seated, then go ahead and hit them all and get them all right. But again, on this top one, just get them loose. Once you have it loose here, it's going to stay up here, but it's out of the way so we can get the cross member out, and it's no longer bothering us. We don't have to have an extra part on the hoist. On these, they have Loctite on them with a 13mm head that fights you the whole way. So I'm using the 1/2-inch drive one, which won't be any problem for this. You'll break the socket before it won't bring these bolts out. Once we have it bolted up here, I remove the pole jack, so there's nothing else holding it there. We'll lower it down. We'll just lower it a little bit, get the trans lines off, and then we'll be able to get the bell housing bolts off, and it's ready to slide out. Okay, here I'm going to use the 1/2-inch drive Milwaukee brushless impact. And as you can see, it'll take these bolts out. The bolt out of the top where the dipstick is. Pull the dipstick out. And once the dipstick's out of the way, we can go ahead and start to drop it. Okay, once you have this all set up and you have it mounted right, be careful where you put your hands, don't get it caught up here. You can actually get it all set up right to where you can just rock this thing and move it and bring it down. So we'll go ahead and back it away a little bit. We've got the trans lines already out, capped off over here. So now it's broke away. I'm going to bring it down, watch the drive shaft here. Once you get the trans down, you can go ahead and reach over here, unplug it there on the side. On top here, get the speed sensor, the output shaft sensor, and the sensors, both of them on top of the trans. Get your wiring all out of the way, and go ahead and lower it down. Remove the bolts holding the flywheel or the flex plate. Okay, with the rear adapter off, you can see very little seeping right here. Rear mains are not common on the 7.3. Most of them, you have them leak up in the valley, but this one, as you can see, this one's dry as can be. So we took it out here. We've got a slight seepage down here, so we'll go ahead and take the rear main seal off. Now to do these rear mains, you don't do the seal here. We're going to unbolt it here and remove it. And the new rear main seal that we're going to install, I'm going to use a tool from Freedom Racing. They also make one here for the 7.3, but we're going to go ahead and pull off this whole adapter and reseal it on the back of the block. Remove the 5 bolts holding the retainer to the back plate. These are dowels right here, so as you're trying to wedge it off, make sure that you don't try to hit these or let those interfere. We're going to the new rear main seal from Ford has a wear ring, so we're going to clean this up still. But right now what I'll do is I'll clean off the silicone off the block here, making sure that I don't contaminate the inside because this does go through. So I'm going to clean this all off, protect here, don't scratch the crank up, get that all cleaned up. And also here, just to show you what I used on it, I had an old chisel
I just cut off right there to give myself something to pry against so I can have the leverage.
With the old seal removed and the retainer, we got it all cleaned off, and that's very important on any job is your prep work. You want to make sure that your surface is flat and clean and everything else is going. Clean the crank off here. You can see where the old seal was going and worn. It's actually a pretty good groove inside of there. I took some emery cloth and cleaned it. The new seal kit, if you get one from Ford or International, it comes with a wear ring inside of there, and it's very important that you use it. Don't try to take it out because your seal's oversized, made to be, it expects the wear ring in there. So now we have that. Then here's the seal, and you can see there the ring that's inside of there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the Stallion tools that I got from Freedom Racing. We're going to put the installer on, put some silicone around here, get it all prepped up and start to assemble it. Also, one of the other things I want to mention, you want to put some Loctite in here to make sure that the ring stays seated on the crank. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to start to press it on. Over the crank, just notice the position of the dowel. Finger tighten them. That way it still allows for a little bit of movement. We don't want a lot of movement, but nothing's ever 100% centered. So if we allow for just a little bit of free play in there, it works. So snug those up. Just a couple of words of advice here. This only has one way to go on because of these dowels here. So when you do it, before you get it all ready to go on and you have your silicone and Loctite going on, make sure you know where it's going. Because as you see here, you got the dowel here and the bolt. It goes on right there, and it can't even be 180 off. So if you had it like this, it does put it 180 to where it doesn't work. You can see the bolt hole and the dowel doesn't line up. So make sure you know where it's going, which way, so when you press it on, it's right. You can rotate it when it's on there and the ring's pressed on, but if you get it close and straight, it's going to be a whole lot less stuff to worry about. So now that we have this orientation in mind, I'm going to go ahead and put the Loctite around here, make sure my surfaces are clean, and put some silicone on it, get it ready to press on. I have the Loctite inside here, the bead of silicone around there. Spread it out, make sure I have the bolt covers. Again, watching where my bolts line up. Start to put it on. Get it somewhat lined up. While I'm putting the bolt on, it's a Stallion products from Freedom Racing. Part number is ST169. I'm going to run it up by hand. I'm lining the dowels up, you can see them here. You can see it pressing it on there, getting the silicone. One of the things I did goof up on this, because one of the things that come with the Stallion tools, they supply you with a bearing. And with me being in a hurry here, trying to watch the silicone, I forgot to install this. That's my fault. The toolkit does come supplied with this, and I should have used this. I would have taken a little bit less effort. So I'm going to go ahead and this off. You want to clean on your tool, you want to clean the Loctite that you get on it. So I'm going to take it off in a hurry. Well, the silicone's all setting up. And pretty much that'll give you what you need to know to get the rear main seal installed properly. Get it on set at the right depth. Get the wear ring on there in the proper way. Here you can see the finished product with it all in place. You've got the wear ring on there. Seal's all good, tightened down. Silicone, everything's good. This one should not give us a problem, leak on us. Okay, now that we have the rear main seal in, I think this might be a good opportunity to show one more thing. So I get a lot of people ask me about doing the oil pan on these, and I don't get a whole lot out here in the desert because we don't have issues with them as much as this place is due with them rusting. So what I like to do here is talk about what I do to do the oil pan on these. We'll take the fan shroud out or loosen the radiator so that way we don't damage it, and then we'll take the adapter plate off here. Since we have the battery disconnected, we can actually take this off with the starter still on it, as long as we disconnect the starter. Take your retainers here off both sides, because these dowels stay in. Slide the adapter off. Then I'll use 3 pole jacks. I'll use 1 pole jack on this ear, because of the blocks down here are still here. So I use 1 pole jack here, 1 pole jack over here, and I'll put the 3rd pole jack on the front crank. And then we'll just lift the motor up. We'll bring the motor up here. We'll loosen the motor mounts up, obviously. I should say make sure the motor mounts are loose. Then we'll jack the motor up, again with the fan off or the shroud off, whatever it takes, just so you don't damage your radiator. We'll jack the motor up. Then we have all types of clearance in here with the fan off. Then we can get the, same thing, we have to pry the oil pan off out of here. And then we'll loosen the pickup inside, and then the oil pan can come right out. So it's also a little bit of a hint here on how we do the oil pans on them. Same thing, pull the trans out, pull that adapter off the back, 3 pole jacks, lift the engine up higher, making sure that you keep the radiator. I have a video on the 6.0 oil pan, and that shows loosening the radiator up and the motor mounts. So between those two and this, you should be able to do these oil pans without a problem if you have a hoist and 3 pole jacks. So hopefully that helps you out. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.